a $3 billion pipeline, a $12,000 FPV drone, and a grocery truck. If that math feels wrong, you're about to see why logistics, not tanks, decide wars. This video breaks down a fictionalized, highly detailed scenario centered on Novorossiysk, decoys, EW noise, radar blind spots, and a precision strike that allegedly forced 72-hour fuel delays. We'll analyze the tactics and the tech, what's plausible, what's not, and the real lesson: delay as a weapon. If a disguised panel truck can create a battlefield choke point, what does that say about the future cost curve of war? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. How does a buried fuel artery end up as the softest target on a modern front? Because it moves the only thing that keeps engines alive: fuel. You don't have to crater every depot if you can choke the flow at a smart point.
Moving on to other news now, and video has been released of what's believed to be a Ukrainian drone hitting a warship in Russia's Black Sea port of Novorossiysk.
Has attacked the Russian ship with about 100 crew members on board. So talking about the Russian officials, no one draws any conclusions at the moment.
A cheap drone matters because cost doesn't track with effect when the target is a control brain, not a slab of steel. Here's the core problem. A Western front lives on high-pressure fuel moving in sequence, pump to pump, node to node. Break that rhythm and tempo drops. Battalions don't roll. Sorties don't cycle. Artillery trucks sit with dry tanks while the window for an assault closes 1 hour at a time. That's not theory, it's logistics physics. The farther your reserves, the tighter your timing. Disrupt the line and schedules fail. Now the tension. This asset is huge, spread across districts, and it is guarded. Layered radar, mobile air defense, patrol routes, and quick reaction teams stand over it. Classic strike packages mean expensive munitions and clear signatures. That buys warning time for defenders and drives up your losses. So you don't swing for the pipe in the open. You go for the brain stem that tells the pipe how to behave when something goes wrong. Think of the pipeline as a system, not a tube. You have pumping stations that push, junction nodes that split and merge, and pressure valves that keep the flow stable.
Where it was promised to be repaired as soon as possible. And after the incident, the port of Novorossiysk first imposed a ban on the movement of all ships there, but
Kyiv hasn't claimed responsibility for the strike, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that attacks on Russian territory are inevitable.
Each node has control logic that decides what to close, what to vent, and how to equalize when a shock hits the line. Most of the route can take a dent and keep moving. But the right junction, hit once, forces an automatic stand-down to prevent rupture. The choke point near the coast offers more than fuel density. It offers cover from sensors. Terrain rolls down to the water. Ridges, tree belts, and industrial clutter break sight lines. Coastal air corridors host routine traffic that paints radar with constant noise. Between radar sectors there are seams. Not blind spots, timing windows. Put a small thread into that seam and it rides ground clutter like a shadow. On paper, big-ticket defenders own the sky. Long-range search radars scan wide. Missile batteries watch high arcs. Armored units sit on alert to swat anything that breaks cover. But small, slow, and low can live under those nets. A quad with a warhead hugs trees, poles, ridgelines. It hides in the same return that shows a fence line.
Later they lifted it. That's according to the Caspian Pipeline Consortium. Kyiv, as you said, did not officially claim responsibility for the attack, but both of them were destroyed by fire coming from Russian ships guarding the base there. So the video shows the Russian landing ship Olenigorsky Gornyak.
If defenders tighten filters to see it, they drown in false tracks. If they relax, the small threat walks in. That's the cost curve. You sink billions into steel and silicon to guard a corridor. Yet the thing you fear is a $12,000 craft that trades speed for silence and uses the ground as its cloak. You can't surge a battalion faster than fuel reaches it. You can't launch a jet on fumes. Delay becomes a weapon. A 24 to 72-hour fuel shock cascades. Convoys miss their handoffs. Bridges clear for units that never arrive. Commanders push back briefings because the math of gallons and kilometers won't bend. Here's the mini payoff. The glass jaw isn't the pipe. It's the junction logic. Hit the valve cluster in the control housing, and the system protects itself by shutting down to prevent a tear. Pressure equalizes. Flow halts along multiple arms without damage to each link. The defense spends millions to hunt for more threats while crews drive to inspect nodes one by one. If the weak point is a node, the mission is not destruction, it's access. The trick is opening a path through the sensor wall and letting a small punch land before anyone knows there was a swing. Not a jet. Not a missile. A grocery truck with a console bolted to the floor and a view of the road, not the sky. If you want to slip a strike under a modern radar net, you don't look up. You blend in, park near a fence line, and turn on the one weapon that doesn't look like a weapon at all: noise. The plan's spine is simple and mean. Build a radar shadow with electronic warfare.
The Ministry of Defense has issued a statement which reads that the armed forces of Ukraine made an attempt to attack Russia's Novorossiysk naval base in the Black Sea. There are reports on Ukrainian social media describing how the Ukrainian surface drone stuffed with 450 kilograms of explosives.
Throw bait to pull interceptors off axis. Then push FPV drones through the seam you made. 3 moves. Each one buys seconds. Stack enough seconds and you get a hit. Electronic warfare is a blade with 2 edges. If you shout, every scope turns toward you and the defenders jump to alerts. If you whisper, their locks hold and your strike dies at the fence. The art is to wobble their tracks, not blind them. You want doubt. Doubt delays orders. Delays save your drones. Here's the EW play. Frequency hopping burns across bands where fire control radars live, just long enough to smear the return. GPS noise fogs the sky map so launch computers don't trust their own position. Timing pulses land like sand in a gear train, desyncing search from track and track from fire. The result isn't darkness. It's flicker. Track lines drift, then recenter, then drift again. That wobble forces crews to run checks, cross-verify, and wait for a clean solution. Meanwhile, decoys start earning their pay. Cheap drones climb where they can be seen and act like something bigger than they are. Their signatures aren't perfect, but they're good enough to draw locks from batteries guarding the wrong lane. Out on the horizon, manned aircraft flash a feint, not to fight, but to pull interceptors into a commit that bleeds minutes. The defenders defend. That's the point. They look left while the real threat crawls in from the right. Now meet the truck. Plain panel body. Old paint. Faded shop logo. Inside, inverter power hums against the floor. A fold-out antenna nests under a tarp. A concealed rail slides out past the bumper and locks with a click you feel more than hear. No plume. No heat bloom. Just a van that could pass as delivery while it guides a strike like a forward air controller on wheels. Ingress stays low and quiet. The FPV rides terrain lines like a hand on a railing, ditches, fences, tree belts, never high enough to silhouette, never fast enough to outrun control. The route bends toward a junction where 2 high-pressure arms meet. That merge is the prize. It isn't thick steel that matters. It's the brain box that tells steel what to do when pressure spikes. The strike logic is brutal and tidy. Put the warhead into the valve cluster and the control housing. Force the system to choose between rupture risk and flow. It will always choose to protect itself. The auto shutdown trips. Pressure equalizes along multiple arms. Flow halts without you needing to touch every meter of pipe. Cost meets effect here. $12,000 buys the hit that unlocks a 72-hour fuel delay. Tank ops stall. Convoys reroute to roads that can't carry their load. Repair crews roll with torches and wrenches while command staffs rewrite their timelines. You didn't win a battle. You stole time, and time rewrites battles. The shot lands. The real win is the clock you start. For the next 2 days, watch how delay itself becomes a weapon that bends the fight around a single missing stream of fuel. Sometimes the most strategic weapon isn't the explosion, it's the delay. A cheap tool that steals 72 hours can beat a tank that shows up late. That's the trade that wins tempo, and tempo writes the map. So what would you invest in, more armor, or more delay? Comment your choice below. If you want deeper tactical breakdowns like this, subscribe. Watch the headlines with a new lens. Look for hits on logistics, fuel, bridges, depots, not just frontline clashes. The side that bends time, not tonnage, sets the fight. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.